He did not cry when he was born. He simply opened his eyes and looked at the cold metal ceiling above him. His eyes were strange. One was deep brown like rich earth, the other was golden with a thin black slit down the middle like a snake. Half of his small body was covered in soft hewn skin. The other half had tiny green scales that caught the light. The metal robot finished its work and sat back. It did not know what to do with this child. Its programming had no instructions for something like him. The bed, his mother lay still. Her name was, and she was a soldier. They were a proud reptilian species with scales the color of emeralds and eyes that could see in complete darkness. They were strong, they were fierce, but was dying. Her body had given everything to bring this child into the world, and now she had nothing left. Reach out with one weak hand. Her green scales had lost their shine. Her golden eyes were fading, but she touched her son's face one last time and made a soft sound. It was not a word. It was something deeper, a mother's goodbye. Then she was gone. Corner of the room, a man fell to his knees. His name was Park, and he was human. He was a diplomat from Earth who had come to the neutral space station 3 years ago. He had met at a peace conference. She was guarding the ambassador. He was translating for the human delegation. They should never have spoken. They should never have looked at each other the way they did. But love does not follow rules. To the bed and held his cold hand. Tears ran down his face. He had known that might happen. The doctors had warned them. Human bodies were not meant to create life together, but they had hoped. They had prayed to whatever gods would listen. I was dead and was holding their son. The babe still did not cry. He just looked at his father with those mismatched eyes as if he already understood that the universe was a cold and cruel place. The door burst open. Soldiers in black armor rushed into the room. They wore the symbol of the Galactic Coalition on their chests. The Coalition was an alliance of hundreds of alien species who had come together to create order in the galaxy. They had laws, so many laws, and one of those laws said that species must not mix their blood. The soldier pointed his weapon at. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but his voice was cold and sharp. Of Earth, you have violated genetic purity law, son. You have created an illegal hybrid. The punishment is death. Oh, the son, please, he is just a baby. He did not choose this. The child will be disposed of according to protocol. No, screamed. He looked around for any way to escape. There was none. The soldiers surrounded him. He was just a translator. He had never held a weapon in his life, but in that moment he would have fought 1,000 armies for his son. Amanda stepped through the door. She looked at his body with disgust. Then she looked at the baby and her face twisted with hatred. Blood, she hissed. An insult to our species. The female brought shame to all. It is good that she is dead. To scream at her, he wanted to tell her that was brave and kind and beautiful, that she had laughed like music and loved without fear. But the words caught in his throat because he knew they would not listen. To them was not a person. She was just a criminal who had broken their precious law. Commander nodded to her soldiers. Take the human, kill the child. Another voice spoke. This one belonged to a tall alien with gray skin and too many eyes. He was a bureaucrat of some kind. His robes were expensive and his voice was bored. Killing the hybrid here will create paperwork. Question. The humans are not part of the coalition, but they are watching. If they learn we executed one of their kind and his child, there may be political problems. Commander frowned. Then what do you suggest? Outer Rim, the bureaucrat said. Put the child in a pod and send it to the dead zone. No one will find it. No one will care. It will simply disappear and we will have no blood on our hands. Listen to them discuss his son's fate like they were talking about garbage disposal. His heart broke into 1,000 pieces, but deep inside a tiny flame of hope flickered. The Outer Rim was dangerous. It was lawless, but it was not certain death. Maybe somehow his son would survive. Dragged away from the baby, he fought them. He screamed. He begged. But he was one man against an army and they were not interested in mercy. Pulled him through the door, looked back at his son one last time. The baby was still watching him with those strange, beautiful eyes. Her name is Shout. Do you hear me? Your name is Your mother loved you. I love you. Never forget that you were wanted. Never forget that you were loved. The door closed. He saw his son again. The coalition executed him 1 hour later in a small gray room with no windows. His last thought was of smile and sighs. He was placed in a pod. The pod was loaded onto an old transport ship. The ship flew to the edge of known space where stars were few and hope was even fewer. There, in a region called the Outer Rim, the ship's automatic systems found a dead station floating in the void. The station had been abandoned for 100 years. Its lights were dark. Its halls were empty, but its life support system still worked barely. Transport ship docked with the station. A mechanical arm placed the pod inside. Then the ship flew away and never came back. Inside the pod, Little slept. He did not know that his parents were dead. He did not know that the entire galaxy had decided he should not exist. He did not know that he was now completely alone in the darkest corner of space. He was alive. 20 years passed in the darkness of the Outer Rim. Woke up from sleep when he was 5 years old. The pod systems had kept him frozen, feeding his small body nutrients and keeping his brain alive with electrical signals. When the power finally started to fail, the pod made a decision. It would rather release the child than let him die inside. It opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed out, and a small boy with mismatched eyes sat up and looked around at a world he did not understand. The station was dark and quiet. Dust covered everything. Old machines sat in corners like sleeping giants. Did not know where he was. He did not know who he was. He only knew that he was hungry and scared and very, very alone. The station was not completely dead. Deep in its heart, an old computer still worked. Its name was Arya, and it had been the station's management system 100 years ago. When it detected the small life form wandering through the halls, something in its programming woke up. It was not designed to raise a child, but it was designed to help, and this child clearly needed help. Oh, Arya said through the station's old speakers. Its voice was scratchy and broken. I'm Arya. What is your name? The boy looked up at the ceiling where the voice came from. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He had never spoken before. That is acceptable, Arya said. We will learn together. And so they did. Taught how to speak, it played old recordings from the station database. Some were in human languages, some were in alien tongues, absorbed them all like a sponge. His human brain was good at learning words. His instincts helped him understand tone and meaning. By the time he was 8, he could speak 5 languages. By the time he was 12, he could speak 12. Language was not enough to survive. The station had some food stored in sealed containers, but it would not last forever. Arya taught how to fix machines, how to recycle water, how to grow small plants under artificial lights. Learned fast, his hands were clever. One hand had human fingers, soft and flexible. The other had claws, sharp and strong. Together, they could do things that neither species could do alone. It was 15 as ship crashed into the station. It was a smuggler vessel that had been running from pirates. The pilot was dead, the cargo was scared, but the ship itself could still fly, and Arya saw an opportunity. Must learn to leave this place, Arya told. You cannot stay here forever. The station is dying, I'm dying, but you can live. Not want to leave. Arya was the only friend he had ever known, but he understood. He spent 2 years fixing the crashed ship. He taught himself to fly by reading old manuals and watching recording. When he was 17, he flew his first mission outside the station. He went to a nearby asteroid field and collected metal to repair the station's walls. It was dangerous, it was scary, but felt something new when he flew through the stars. It felt free. The next 3 years became a sailor. He flew through the outer rim, collecting things from dead ships and abandoned stations. He traded with criminals and outlaws who did not ask questions. They looked at his strange face and his mismatched eyes, and they called him half-blood or freak or worse things. But they paid him for his work, and that was enough. To hide his emotions, he learned to fight when he had to. His side gave him sharp reflexes and natural combat instincts. His human side gave him creativity and the ability to adapt. He was not the strongest fighter in the outer rim. He was not but he was hard to kill, and in the outer rim, that was worth more than gold. Day 1 was 20, everything changed. He was working on a salvage job near an old battlefield. Ships from some forgotten war flowed in the void like metal goats. Was cutting through the hull of a destroyed cruiser when he saw lights in the distance. At first, he thought they were stars. Then he realized they were moving. Ship Tipsa. Blood turned cold. He had met before in the outer rim. They always looked at him with hatred and disgust. They called him tainted blood and abomination. But they had never attacked him because he was not worth the trouble. His ships were different. They were military patrol vessels. They were hunting. And his shipman tried to fly away, but he was too slow. The veil surrounded him. A voice crackled through his radio. Freed, you are wanted by the Galactic Coalition for the crime of existing. Surrender yourself for termination. Not answer. He pushed his engines to maximum power and flew straight toward the smallest gap between the enemy ships. They fired at him. Plasma bolts tore through space. One hit his ship's wing. Another hit his engine, but did not stop. He flew through the gap and into an asteroid field where the bigger ships could not follow. 3 days hid among the rocks. His ship was badly damaged. His food was running out. He had a wound on his side where a piece of metal had cut him during the attack. The wound was getting infected. His scales tried to heal it, but his human blood was fighting against itself. The 4th day, stopped hiding. He did not have the strength anymore. He set his ship adrift and lay down on the cold floor. He looked at the ceiling and thought about his life. Years of loneliness, 20 years of being told he should not exist, 20 years of fighting just to see another sunrise. And for what? No one wanted him. No one loved him. The galaxy had made it very clear that there was no place for someone like him. Closed his eyes, he was ready to give up. His ship kept drifting. It flowed past the asteroid field. It crossed an invisible line in space that marked the border between the outer rim and somewhere else, somewhere new. Ship's old sensors beat weakly. They had detected something, other ships coming closer. Not open his eyes, he did not care anymore. Let them be pirates. Let them be coalition soldiers. Let them be anyone. He was done fighting. Last thing he heard before he lost consciousness was a voice on his radio. It was speaking a language he knew from Arya's old recordings. It was human. Known vessel, this is the HSS Horizon of the Sol Confederation. We are detecting life signs on your ship. Do you need assistance? Please respond. To laugh, humans. He had never met one before. They were supposed to be weak and emotional and strange. They were not part of the coalition. They had their own little corner of the galaxy where they lived alone. Tried to reach for the radio. He tried to say something, but darkness took him before he could make a sound. The ship drifted on, carrying his broken body towards something he had never experienced before. Stood on the bridge of the HSS Horizon and looked at the damaged ship on her screen. It was small and ugly, covered in patches and repairs like a quilt made of metal. Smoke leaked from its engines. Its lights flickered weakly. It looked like it would fall apart at any moment. Of flying, she asked. Sensor officer, a young man named Lee, checked his readings. One life form, Captain. Very weak. I think they're dying. Not hesitate. Bring them aboard. Said carefully. The readings are strange. The life form is not fully human. It might be dangerous. To look at him. She was a small woman with short black hair and eyes that had seen too many battles, but her voice was gentle when she spoke. If someone is dying, we help them. That is what we do. That is what makes us human. Bring them aboard. Minutes later, was lying on a metal bed in the Horizon sickbay. The ship's medic bay, worked quick to save his life, was a tall man with kind eyes and steady hands. He had treated all kinds of injuries in his career, but he had never seen anyone like the patient before. His body was covered in green scales. The other half had pale human skin. His face was a mixture of both, with a human nose and mouth but with patches of scales on his cheeks and forehead. One eye was brown. One eye was golden with a slit pupil. He looked like something from a dream or a nightmare. Did not care what looked like. He only cared that the young man was hurt and needed help. He cleaned the infected wound. He gave medicine and fluids. He stayed by his bed for 6 hours until the fever finally broke. Opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a ceiling. It was white and clean, not dark and rusty like the station where he grew up. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then he felt pain in his side and he knew he was still alive. Tried to sit up, a hand gently pushed him back down. See, a voice said in human language, "You are safe, do not move too fast." His head and saw standing beside him. His first instinct was fear. Every time someone had found him before, they had tried to hurt him or kill him. He looked around for weapons. He looked for ways to escape. Just smiled. "You are scared, I understand, but no one here will harm you. I'm Bay, I'm a doctor. I fixed your wound. How do you feel?" Not know how to answer. No one had ever asked him how he felt before. He opened his mouth, but only a rough sound came out. His throat was dry. Brought him water, drank it slowly, watching the human the whole time. He waited for the trick. He waited for the trap. It did not come. Door opened and Captain walked in. She stopped when she saw that was awake. Her eyes moved over his face, taking in the scales and the strange eyes. Prepared himself for the disgust, for the hatred, for the words he had heard 1,000 times before. Just nod. "Good, you are awake. We were worried about you." Stared at her. "Why?" His voice was rough from not speaking for days. "Why, what? Were you worried? Why did you save me?" He did not understand. "You can see what I am." Up a chair and sat down beside his bed. She looked at him with those tired, kind eyes. "See that you are injured. I can see that you are young. I can see that you have been through something terrible." She paused. "What else should I see?" something strange in his chest. It took him a moment to realize it was confusion. I am a hybrid, half human, half the coalition calls me an abomination. They want me dead. Coalition said slowly, is not welcome in human space. Their laws mean nothing here. But I am not fully human. I am not one of you. Forward, let me tell you something about humans. We do not care about pure blood or genetic laws. We care about people. You have a human heart beating in the chest. You have human blood in the veins. That makes you one of us. The scales do not matter. The eyes do not matter. What matters is who you are inside. Not know what to say. He had spent 20 years believing he was garbage, that he was a mistake, that he should never have been born, and now this human captain, was telling him that none of that mattered. I do not understand, he whispered. Alceli, I know, but you will. The next few days slowly recovered. The crew of the Horizon treated him with kindness that he did not know how to accept. They brought him food. They talked to him. They asked about his life in the Outer Rim and listened with horror and sympathy when he told them. Ship's engineer, a cheerful woman named Sora, visited him often. She was fascinated by his hybrid biology and asked him hundreds of questions, but she never made him feel like a specimen. She made him feel like a friend. You know what I think? Sora said one day while she was checking the medical equipment in his room. I think the universe made a mistake when it put you in the Outer Rim. You were supposed to be with us the whole time. The universe does not make mistakes, said quietly. It does. That is why we have to fix them ourselves. Sora grinned at him. Half human is still human, and humans take care of our own. The fifth day came to sea with news. The Horizon was heading back to human space, the place called New Sol Station, orbiting Earth. She asked if he wanted to come with them. Could start a new life, she said, among people who will accept you, among family. Looked at her. Then he looked at who had saved his life. At Sora, who made him laugh for the first time in years. At who had apologized 3 times for suggesting he might be dangerous. 20 years the galaxy had told he was worthless. For 20 years he had believed it, but these humans looked at him and saw something different. They saw someone worth saving, someone worth keeping. Not trusted completely. Part of him still waited for the betrayal. Part of him still expected to wake up and find it was all a dream. Another part of him, the small and hopeful part that had survived 20 years of darkness, wanted to believe. Yes, he said, his voice cracked on the word, I will come with you. Alden put her hand on his shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but too, it felt like the first ray of sunlight after a lifetime of night. Sol Station was the largest structure I had ever seen. It was a massive ring of metal and glass that floated above Earth like a crown. Millions of people lived there. Ships came and went every minute. Lights sparkled everywhere like stars that humans had captured and tamed. His face against the window of the horizon and watched with wide eyes. He had never imagined a place like this. In the Outer Rim, stations were dark and broken. Here, everything was bright and alive and full of energy. Beautiful is it not? Captain stood beside him. I did not know places like they existed, whispered. Into human space, he said with a small smile, welcome home. So survival spread quickly. A half-human hybrid rescued from the Outer Rim, hunted by the Coalition, and now seeking refuge among humanity. The story touched something deep in human hearts. Instead of fear, people responded with anger. Anger at the Coalition. Anger at a galaxy that would throw away a child because of how he was born. So erupted across New Sol Station. Thousands of people gathered, holding signs that said things like, is family and human hearts have no borders. Politicians gave speeches. News reporters told the story over and over. Families sent messages offering to adopt him. Scientists asked to study his unique biology, not to use him, but to understand how to help him. Watched all of this from his small room in a government building. He did not understand why these strangers cared about him. He had done nothing for them. He was nobody. A worker named O'Meara came to explain things to him. She was a gentle woman with gray hair and a warm voice. The Sol Confederation has decided to give you citizenship, she told him. You are now officially protected by human law. The Coalition cannot touch you here. Out slowly, and then what? I smiled. Then you live, you have a life now, a real life, she paused. We have also found a family for you if you want one. Heart skipped, a family. Names are I am and was a captain in the Sol Defense Corps. He's retired now, is a teacher. They have wanted to adopt for many years, but the waiting lists are long. When they heard your story, they requested to meet you. Would they want me? Asked. The question came out before he could stop it. They do not know me, they do not owe me anything. I reached out and took his hand. Her touch was soft. That is what family means. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to deserve it. It is given freely because that is what love is. And the next day, they came to his room with nervous smiles and warm eyes. Was a big man with gray hair and a scar on his cheek from some old battle. Was smaller, with kind eyes and hands that moved gently when she talked. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Did not know what to say. He had never had parents. He did not know how that was supposed to work. They stepped forward and hugged him. No one had ever hugged him before. He did not know what to do with his arms. He did not know if he should push her away or pull her closer. His body was stiff and confused. Did not let go. She held him gently and her voice was soft when she spoke. It's okay. You do not have to do anything. Just let me hold you for a moment. Something inside broke. Years of loneliness. 20 years of pretending he did not need anyone. 20 years of building walls around his heart to protect himself from a galaxy that wanted him dead. All of it crumbled in that single moment. Started to cry. He'd never cried before. Not when Ari's systems finally failed and his only friend went silent forever. Not when they shot at him and called him filth. Not when he lay dying in his broke ship, ready to give up. But now in the arms of the stranger who wanted to be his mother, he could not stop the tears. Wrapped his big arms around both of them, and for the first time in his life felt safe. Days that followed were strange and wonderful, and took to their home. It was a small apartment with windows that looked out at the stars. There was a room just for him with a bed and a desk and a window, his own space, his own place. Taught him how to cook human food, burned the rice 3 times before he got it right, laughed so hard he almost fell out of his chair. It was a good sound, a warm sound. Taught him about human customs, about birthdays and holidays and family dinners. They taught him Korean words and traditions that had traveled with humanity from Earth to the stars, struggled with some of it. His tongue had trouble with certain sounds, but was patient and made jokes to keep things light. I'd had nightmares. He dreamed of the cold station in the Outer Rim. He dreamed of soldiers shooting at him. He dreamed of darkness and loneliness and the feeling that he was worthless. He woke up screaming was always there. She sat beside his bed and held his hand until the fear passed. She never asked him to explain. She never told him to be strong. She just stayed with him in the dark until morning came. A night after a particularly bad dream, asked her why she cared so much. "You barely know me," he said. "Why do you stay?" Brushed the hair from his forehead. Her touch was gentle on his scales. "'Cause that is what mothers do," she said simply. "And I am your mother now, not because of blood, not because of law, because I choose to be, because you are my son." Stared at her. "I do not know how to be a son." "You do not have to know how, you just have to be here. Let us figure out the rest together." Turned in months, started training with the Sol Defense Corps under a commander named Shin Minyu. Minyu was a strict teacher, but he saw potential in. The hybrid's reflexes were faster than any human. His instincts were sharper, but he also had human creativity and adaptability. "Or not just half of two things," Minyu told him one day after training. "You are something new, something the galaxy has never seen. Use that." Hard, he wanted to be useful. He wanted to prove that he was worthy of everything the humans had given him. One evening, sat him down for a serious talk. "Do not have to earn love here," said. His voice was gruff but kind. "I see how hard you work, I see how you try to be perfect, but you do not have to prove anything to us. You are not a project, you are not a refugee, you are our son, and we love you because you exist, not because of what you do." Tears in his eyes again. "I do not know how to believe that." "Well, that is okay. We will tell you every day until you do." Knight went to Memorial Garden on New Sol Station. It was a quiet place where humans remembered the dead. With his help, he had carved two names into a small stone. Our parents, the ones who had loved him before he even knew what love was, the ones who had died because they chose each other. Knelt before the stone and touched the names with his fingers. "Found them," he whispered. "I found people who care about me. I am not alone anymore." He paused. "Thank you for giving me life. I will try to make it worth something." It came on a cold morning when the stars outside New Sol Station seemed darker than usual. Breakfast with, and when the emergency broadcast interrupted every screen on the station, a face appeared. It was a high commander with scales the color of dried blood and eyes that held nothing but hatred. "Confederation," the commander said. His voice echoed through millions of homes. "You are harboring a criminal, a genetic abomination named who violates the sacred laws of the Galactic Coalition. You have 7 days to surrender him for termination. If you refuse, we will come and take him by force. Choose wisely." The screen went dark. The food turned to stone in his stomach. He had known the moment would come. He had always known they would not let him go. The Coalition did not forget. They did not forgive. He stood up from the table. "I have to leave." What? Looked at him sharply. "No. Will attack because of me. People will die because of me. I cannot let that happen." His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "If I turn myself in, maybe they will leave humanity alone." Grabbed his hand. Her grip was stronger than he expected. "Sit down." "Mother, I—" "Sit down." Her voice was firm. Her eyes were fierce. "You are not going anywhere. You are our son, and we do not give up our children to monsters." Look at her. Then they were both staring at him with the same expression. It was not fear. It was not doubt. It was determination. "But the war started." "Let the war come," said. His voice was calm like deep water. "We have been alone in the galaxy for a long time. We have been waiting for someone to give us a reason to show who we really are." He put his hand on his shoulder. "You are that reason." Afternoon, the Sol Confederation Parliament held an emergency session. Every representative from every human colony attended, either in person or through video link. The question before them was simple. Would they fight to protect one half-human hybrid, or would they surrender him to save themselves? No stood before them. She was an old woman with white hair and a spine made of iron. She had led humanity through plagues and economic crashes and political storms. She had never backed down from anything in her life. "Not waste time with long speeches," she said. "We all know why you're here. The Coalition wants us to hand over a young man named. They say he's an abomination, a crime against their laws." She paused. "But he's not their citizen. He's ours. We gave him a home. We gave him a family. We called him one of our own. And I do not know about you, but where I come from, family is not something you trade away when things get difficult." The chamber was silent. "Lynn thinks we are weak," continued. "They think we are small. They think because we are emotional and chaotic we will bend. But they do not understand what makes us strong. We are strong because we feel. We are strong because we care. We are strong because when one of us is threatened, all of us rise." Looked around the room. Her eyes met the eyes of every representative. "I say we fight, not because it's special, but because every human deserves someone willing to fight for them. If we abandon him today, we abandon everything we believe in. And I will not let that happen, not while I breathe." Vote was called. One by one, the representatives stood. One by one, they said the same word. "Fight." Yeah. Every single one. The news reached the people of human space. Something remarkable happened. Volunteers flooded the military recruitment center. Factories increased their production of ships and weapons. Engineers worked through the night to upgrade defense systems. Ordinary people did whatever they could to help. Broadcast that President sent to the galaxy became legendary. "Call him an abomination," she said, looking directly into the camera. "We call him our son. If you want him, come and try to take him. You will learn that humans do not abandon our own. Not now, not ever." Coalition fleet arrived 1 week later. 200 warships, including a massive flagship commanded by the same high commander who had delivered the ultimatum. They expected easy victory. They expected humans to crumble before their superior firepower. They were wrong. Battle began near the edge of Sol space. Human ships met the Coalition fleet head-on. They were outnumbered. But they fought with something the Coalition did not understand. They fought with heart. In the middle of it all, Commander Minyu had given him his own fighter ship. It was small and fast and armed with weapons that Sora had personally modified. "You ready?" Minyu asked through the radio. Look at the enemy fleet ahead. 200 ships that wanted him dead. A lifetime of hatred coming to collect what it believed it was owed. "I was born ready," he said. He flew in battle. Bred abilities gave him advantages that no pure human or pure could match. His reflexes were lightning fast. His instincts warned him of danger before it happened. And his human creativity let him think of solutions that no one expected. He danced through the enemy fire like a ghost. He destroyed 10 fighters in the first hour, 20 in the second. The Coalition commanders started to notice. They started sending more ships after him specifically. He was not alone. Human pilots flew beside him. They protected his back. They called his name when he needed help. They fought together as one. Turning point came when made a decision. The Coalition flagship was coordinating the entire attack. If he could reach it, if he could take out the command center, the battle might end. It was a suicide mission. Everyone knew it, but did not care. "For me," he said to his squadron. Then he flew straight at the flagship. Dozens of weapons fired at him. His ship took hit after hit. Warning lights screamed. Smoke filled the cockpit, but did not stop. He pushed through the fire and landed his damned ship directly in the flagship's hangar bay. Climbed out with a weapon in his hand and fire in his heart. Soldiers tried to stop him, cut through them like wind through grass. His claws tore through armor. His reflexes dodged every attack. All the pain and loneliness of his life turned into strength. Found the High Commander on the bridge. Old looked at with pure contempt. Half-breed filth, you should have died in the outer rim where we left you. Toward him slowly, his body was wounded, his breath was ragged, but his eyes were clear. Half said, I am half human. He raised his weapon, and I am whole. High Commander lunged at him. They fought. It was brutal and fast and violent. It was older, more experienced, but had something he did not, had something to live for. The end stood over the fallen commander. The bridge was silent. The crew stared at him with fear. Coalition that I am coming for anyone who threatens my family said. Tell them the outer rim does not define me. Tell them humans taught me what it means to belong. And tell them that if they ever come back, they will face all of us together. Coalition fleet retreated that day. They had lost too many ships, too many soldiers, and they had seen something they did not expect. They had seen humanity stand united for one person, one half human, half hybrid who the galaxy had thrown away. The aftermath became a symbol, not just for humans but for oppressed beings across the galaxy. Other species began to question the coalition's laws. Uprisings started on distant planets. The cracks in the coalition's power began to spread. Did not care about being a symbol. He only cared about going home. A quiet evening after the war and took to legal office. They signed papers that made everything official. Was no longer just a refugee. He was no longer just a citizen. Was I am, son of I am, and member of a human family. Knight stood on an observation deck and watched the sun set behind Earth. Orange and gold light painted the planet below. Stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Stood beside him. What are you thinking about? Quiet for a moment, then he smiled. It was a real smile, the kind that reached his eyes. Thinking that the cosmos threw me away, they left me in the darkest corner of space to die. They told me I was worthless. They told me I should never have existed. He took a deep breath. But then humanity found me. You found me, and you taught me something the stars had forgotten. What is that? Asked softly. Look at her, his mother, the one who chose to love him when the universe said he was unlovable. That every soul deserves a home. His hand. Together they watched the stars come out, and in that moment knew that no matter what came next, he would never be alone again. The galaxy had abandoned him. Humanity had claimed him as their own. And that made all the difference. Stars shone overhead, and somewhere in the vast cold universe finally felt warm. Horizon turned toward home, and for the first time in his life was not alone. Sometimes that is enough.